Okay, I'm doing an analysis of two videos by Scott Hurd. The one on the right is a video that we did back in, oh goodness, when was this? This was probably in, well, it's 10 months ago. Okay, so 10 months ago. So that's the video on the right, and the video on the left is a video that we took about a week ago. And Scott's been coming in regularly for lessons, pretty close to once a week, little more, little less. And I just wanted to show the difference between the two. Even 10 months ago, he was already a pretty solid, decent swimmer. But I just wanted to show the difference that 10 months makes, 10 months of dedicated technique work. And I think you're going to see some really interesting things. So like I said, even 10 months ago, he already looked really good. But in the 10 months that we've been working together, he's done some amazing adjustments. And I just wanted to show those. So we have two videos. They're going to run side by side. And then I'll let you see them first at full speed, and then we'll go back and we will draw some lines and talk a little bit more in depth about his technique. So I'm just going to run it full speed right now. And the cool thing is that they start pretty synced up. Again, the one on the right is the old one, the one on the left is the new one. And then you'll see as they get further along that actually they get disjointed, and look which one comes in first to the wall. The one on the left comes in first. So Scott has gotten faster. He has definitely gotten faster. And this is, I would say, about 100% due to technique improvements. He has not been really doing, like swim workouts. He's been doing primarily work in the pool on his technique. So you can see that it pays off. It really does. So he came in ahead on the left side, which is the new one. So he's a little ahead of his old pace. And the thing that I thought was so cool is that he started off, like the two videos started off almost identical in terms of the arm turnover. And then you could see that the one on the right, kind of the arm turnover kind of got faster and a little sloppy, and the one on the left did not. And so that's why the speed improvement. So let's go ahead and we'll get into this and start drawing some lines. So we're going to run this forward and get into our stroke here. There's some very specific differences that I want you to see, and right here we can see them. So drawing some lines, if we draw a line, I'm going to try and make this as parallel to the lane line as I can, and this is a little bit tricky because it looks like my camera was angled just a little bit. So but you can see that well, actually, let's see here. Let me undo this one. This one needs to be down here a little bit more, like this. Okay, so I'm trying to angle it I'm trying to get parallel lines here to my lane lines. So the biggest thing right here is that you can see his body line. So this is what we call side glide, where we're on our side. He's actually breathing, which is even more impressive. And what you can see is the distance between his hands and the red line. So if you look, here, there's this little distance. And if you look here, there's, a bigger distance there. And so one of the things that we really work on with swimmers is trying to keep a very straight body line in the water, even when you're breathing. So this idea that you want to maintain hydrodynamics all the way through your stroke. And so the first place that we do that is with the lead arm. And so Scott has worked really hard on getting that lead arm to be lower in the water. And you can see there is a difference between those two. The arms are coming down. So this is great. This is really good news. And that means that he's able to stay more hydrodynamic. And that is one of the reasons why he's getting faster, is because his body lines are significantly better. So when the arm is high in the front end, like it is in the right-hand side, we get, drag points coming off of the arm. So the water basically hits the arm and creates drag. The other thing that it does, that high arm, is that it will tend to bring the front ends of the body up, and then you start to get a body line that is not parallel in the water. This one's a little bit better. So, horizontal in the water. So you can see that his body line is definitely getting better as we have been working on this quite a bit. And this is in breath. This is really impressive. So it's really hard to do in breath. It's the hardest position to do a great body line. So this is getting significantly better. Okay, stepping it forward. Let's kind of go into the next little place here that I wanted to show, and that's in the recovery arm. We've been working a lot with Scott on his recovery arm, and the recovery arm positions and the way that you recover your arm is directly tied to your hip position. So one of the things that we teach is this, or that I teach, is this concept of swimming on your side. So you swim one side glide to the other side glide, meaning your hips are perpendicular to the bottom of the pool, parallel to the side wall. So if you have that position, then that frees your arm up to be able to come across the water in a really nice, relaxed recovery. So if you look at the right side versus the left is significantly better. And so if you look at the differences in those, if you see his left, on the left video, see how his arm is coming forward in this kind of bent position here. And basically what he's going to try and do is just drag that arm or kind of skim that hand right over the surface of the water into position, which is right here. Okay. And so that arm is starting to recover better. So what we want is we want to have an elbow lead in recovery. This idea that the elbow stays higher than the hands pretty much all the way through the recovery. And you can see he's still maintaining that angle where the elbow is here, the hand is here. That's really good. That's getting significantly better. If you look at this other side here, the arm is a bit straighter in the angles. And that's one of the things we were trying to move him away from, is this idea of a really straight arm over the top recovery. And the reason for that, in addition to the hips staying on their side, the reason for that is because when you get to entry point, then you see some big changes. So if you can recover with that high elbow, low hands position, and he actually does it better a little later on, but you can see the difference right here in terms of how that arm is going to enter the water. So you can see this arm is set up at an angle to enter into the water, okay? And that is beautiful. We want that arm to spear in and extend under the water, okay? The problem with this right-hand side, and this is what we've been working on over time, is that his angle of entry is actually up, okay? And so what you'll see as we step this forward is you're going to see more splash coming off of this elbow than you do off of this elbow. There's still a little bit, and we're going to continue to work on that, but it's better. So if you look at this right arm side, the right video, you're going to see this big splash right there. See that? There's a big splash that comes off the elbow. If you look at the left hand video, there's a little bit right there, but it's not nearly as big as that right hand side. So his entry position is getting significantly better, okay? All right. Here's a beautiful example, and again, I'm going to talk about those lines. I did it off the first frame, but this is an even better frame to look at. So if you look at this position here versus this position here, okay, now you can really start to see the angles that get created, and you can see his body line is much straighter. So arm is lower, legs are in line, versus this side we have a high arm and the legs are almost angled up too. So there's a little bit of a weird alignment there. So the alignments are getting much better. Okay, so that's really nice. That's really nice to see that. Super straight on the left-hand side, very hydrodynamic. Okay, stepping forward. Okay, so here they're almost in identical positions. And you can see this is a recovery arm concept that we've been working on. We've been trying to really work on this idea of, again, high elbow, low hands. And this concept of leading with the elbow rather than leading with the hand. And this is getting better. This is getting much better. So we still have a little bit of a hand lead, meaning the hand is in front of the elbow, but it's not nearly like this side. So that is good. We're making progress. This is good stuff. So we're trying to have this concept again of, always sort of an angled concept where the elbow is higher than the hands. And when that arm comes forward, so right here is a beautiful example. Right here, his elbow is in front of his hands. It is here too, but it's quickly going to change on that right hand video. It's going to change and the hand is going to shoot in front pretty quickly. Right there it starts, and it's really significant. So much more significant than the left hand side. So that is something we've been working on pretty substantially. Okay. The other thing I want to point out, which is really, really awesome and obvious here, is the underwater arm. So we're going to step it forward because I think there's an even better picture of this. But you can again just kind of compare the arm recoveries and how different they are. This one gets really flat over here. So how the elbow and the hand are getting closer to the same height in the water or above the water. This one we have a nice angle associated with that. It looks really good. So we're getting there. And there you can actually see on this right hand video, you see how that elbow enters almost first. It enters almost before the hand, whereas on the left-hand side, that hand is kind of spearing in and then the elbow follows it in nicely. That's the kind of stuff that we really want to see. Okay, I think in here is where we got this underarm thing. So I wanted to talk about this because this is really cool. This is what we've been working on just recently. Yes, good. Okay, so we've been working lately on the concept of catch, which is the underwater arm position. And so a catch is created when we drop the hand below the elbow and have that hand literally pointed towards the bottom of the pool. Typically what swimmers do is they collapse their elbow and the hand starts to point towards the side of the pool, and that creates what we call a dropped elbow. And it's not a great catch. It doesn't create great propulsion in the water. It doesn't hold on to the water very well. You're trying to make your arm like a paddle. And if you drop your elbow, you can't create a paddle in the water. And so generally people have to kick harder. They feel like they have to pull harder, et cetera, et cetera. So, and we just don't get the momentum. So a really good catch is critical. And we've been working on this. It's a hard concept. We've been working on this for a couple months now. And Scott, I think, is just starting to get the hang of it, because if we look at the left side, what we see is a really nice straight arm right there. I'll do it this way. And so the first thing that you see him do as he starts to set up his catch is you see his wrist drop. So right there we see that wrist start to angle down. And that's beautiful. That's exactly what we want. We want to start to see the hand start to create the beginning of that catch. And then the elbow is eventually going to go above that hand. And we'll have this nice little paddle position that will look something like that in the water. Okay. So if we just look at the left hand video, that hand drops down and then you can see him start. That's the start of his catch. And you can see him start to create that concept of that elbow coming over the top of the hand. The hand basically points straight towards the bottom of the pool, and he holds onto that water until right here. Okay, so right about halfway through, we kind of start to lose that just a little bit. And that's really common with people that are learning how to catch. It's, you can't hold it the whole way through. But he has it in the first part of that. So basically from here to right about here, he's held a great catch, and he's created and held a great catch. So let's look at the right hand video now, and you'll see the difference. Okay. So he starts with that arm a little high, so you can see that arm is angled up. We have already talked about that. But then look what he does with that arm. So it stays, so notice that there's not much change in the wrist angle. And then look what happens right there. See how he automatically, kind of really early in the stroke, he starts to, that that hand shifts position. It doesn't point towards the bottom of the pool anymore. It starts to point towards the side of the pool. And that's, again, what we call a dropped elbow. And you can see it really strongly right there. That is very definitely a dropped elbow, and there is really no catch there. So there's not a lot of power with that. And as a result, you just don't move forward very well. So that's one of the bigger things and very complicated parts of swimming that I think Scott is starting to get the hang of. So that is looking so much better. He doesn't ever fully. So if you look at this position right here on the right hand video, I'm trying to get it into the right spot right there. Oh, it doesn't want to stay there, does it? Okay, well, if you look at this angle there on his arm, and then if we look at the left-hand video, he never actually gets that big of a dropped elbow. So it's getting better. That angle never gets as substantial as it does on the right-hand side. So that's great. We're starting to get a much better catch. Okay. What else can I say here? Let's just step him forward, and you can kind of see slow motion. The differences in here, we're starting to get the right-hand video is... he's not as efficient, so he's starting to get behind in terms of the speed down the lane versus the left-hand video. There's that collapsed arm really strongly. You can see it right there, really strongly collapsed. And this just looks a lot stronger on the left-hand video. So much stronger, so much better. Also notice too, if you kind of watch his feet do a lot bigger things on the right hand side than they do on the left. We've really quieted his feet down as his balance has gotten better, as his catch has gotten better, his breathing positions. He's just slowed way down in terms of, or excuse me, not slowed way down, but his feet have calmed way, way, way down. So this is all in all, oh my gosh, just so much better. This is the change that 10 months of dedicated technique work can do. And he is definitely faster, because here he comes into the wall. There he's done. And he's still swimming on the right-hand side. He's still swimming. Whoops, whoa. So, okay. Hope that was instructional, guys. I really appreciate you taking a look at this, and let me know if you're ever interested in pursuing lessons for your technique. We can help. Thanks so much.